Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. Now Kabam has announced changes to the next raid week, and needless to say, changes there had to be. The initial raid week was effectively a beta test because there is no way anybody is going to be able to convince me that any group of players or any alliance actually tested a full week of raids and said that it was okay. We know that there were a lot of issues with the raids, starting with the structure, going deeper into the fights, and the revive distribution, and a whole bunch of other things, to a point where, it did really kind of scare away a ton of players. Now, Kabam is addressing some of those things, and to be fair, there are plenty of good changes. The big question is going to be whether, it's going to be enough for players to turn around and say that, raids are kind of all right. That said, let's break down the post and, see what we think. So, hey Salmoners, with 1 week of AQ raids officially in the books, we know there were things that went well and things that didn't. We wanted to work on to address as many pain points as quickly as possible, and will be making changes before the next raid week. We have been listening to the feedback from the community as well as evaluating internal data. As more raid weeks come and go, we will continue to develop and adapt the game mode. To make it challenging and fun event, many alliances will be excited to tackle. We're coming at you with a list of changes we'll be making to raids for round 2. Core mode changes. Important bits, I suppose. Revives. In the store will change from 2 every 24 hours to 7 every 3.5 days. Expiration is also increased 3.5 days, which will definitely be a quality of life improvement. It's not necessarily what we wanted to see. Ideally, we would have seen, the 14 limit for the 7 days and be done and dusted. This way, Kabam still will effectively force us to go through, at the very least, like 2 rounds or 2 sets of play, which is still much better than 7, right? So that is a significant improvement. It's not going to be a daily thing anymore. It's going to be twice a week when you need to play the raids. Choice nodes now match the same order as the edit team screen. Fine. Link nodes attached to Ultron now live on the first fight in each path. Okay. Removing exclusivity for champions in raids. This is a major change. That was a big problem factor last week. Summoners will be able to use raid selected champions in other content. This will share the same settings as maps 1 and 2. Perfect. So whichever champion we use in raids, we can play with in Alliance Wars, everything else in the game. Overall, we saw players getting blocked and stuck waiting for others quite a bit, whether this was from revives not being enough for you to push hard in one session or having to wait on others to clear the Ultron link. We hope these changes lead to a smoother overall experience. The change to exclusivity should also let summoners more freely choose whichever champs they feel they can perform best with in raids, as they will no longer be locked out of other content. Those are good changes. There's just no other way around it. Again, it's not necessarily everything that we wanted, but it's quite big. Champions freed up, significantly less login times. Those are quite massive. And boss node tuning. This one's quite big too as well. We want to make the bosses a bit more forgiving and a bit less aggressive with their ramping. We also wanted to even out the missions to make them feel more consistent in terms of difficulty across each of the bosses. Influence nodes. Timer to gain effects increased from 20 to 25 seconds. Very good. They're going to ramp up slower. Puncture pierce lowered from 20% to 5%. That's a massive, massive change. It means 4 of the new pierces will be the same strength as one of the previous ones. That's a huge change. Puncture stun immunity change to minus 100% stun duration, which, together with the Stupefy Mastery and other champions that might be able to bypass, is kind of easier. Strength's Fury reduced from 100% attack to 75%. Dash precision reduced from 60% to 30%. And Thanos saith, Intercept mission changed to strike with light attack, so that basically is an auto-complete mission, while the defender is not stunned. Fair enough, easy, I'd say. And block mission changed to knock down the opponent, so we do not longer need to knock down. Obviously, when we parry, we can heavy, and that will still knock him down. But we can knock him down with a special attack, or we can knock him down with a striker, then into a heavy. So there is no more an absolute must to take that block damage, which has been reduced, which is, which was a big pain point for sure previously as well. That mission was absolute BS previously. Also, boss boosts HP threshold increased from 10 to 12%. This is the second biggest change here. Alongside with the revive distribution, the fact that you can do 12% damage, so that's an increase of 20%, which means, in theory, you should need less revives if you hit the damage cap. And that is, already quite a decent improvement in together. That means, overall, we should be using less of other revives or units, because one revive can now stretch further, so we on average will end up using less revives for each boss. Very, very, very good. Now, roll boost tuning. Roll force now grants all attacks do damage while active. Okay, fair enough. Null break, armor break increased from 18 to 25%. Super buffs intensity increased from 5 to 10%. Total from 50 to 100%. Prowess Ender now grants 25% critical rating for each prowess active during special attacks. Now, the things that I didn't see that I wish to see, I'll comment on a bit later, but we want to even out the roll boost as some more as well, give all champions in the mode some more consistent damage with true damage. This won't suddenly make everyone do as much damage as Iron Man with critical armor, or let you make clips with Hulkbuster like our resident expert Karate Mike, but it should give the weakest performers some needed extra power. Overall, we're pretty happy with how raids have gone so far, and love seeing you folks wishing for more of it. Now, this is the funny bit. I don't think they should have been. I don't think they genuinely should have added this line. I don't think, there was a reason to be happy with how raids are performing at all. In fact, I know many people who have said, and I quote here, I'd sooner die than do raids again. But fair enough. We'll be keeping a close eye on it, taking as much feedback as we can. Best of luck in more raids. Right, so these are good changes. They're just flat out, hands up, they are good. There are a few things that I would have wished to see again. And I think the biggest one is the Assault Champion pool. Because most of the Assault Champions kind of theme around the damage over time effect. And in overall, Assault Group is by far the weakest one in general. And the reason why Assault Group seems so weak is because previously it was the strongest one, and Kabam allegedly, based on what I have been told, effectively nerfed the Assault Group, because previously all the dot damage also scaled with all of these, damage increasing nodes, but they took that away, and they didn't adjust the champion pool. So now that dot global buff is, by far the worst one to select, which is the one that I happen to select as well. And many of the Assault champs in general just do not seem to be fitting to do the job. At the very least, to fight the final Ultron as well. And yeah, it's kind of what have you. That said, that is definite improvement. I don't like that we still get the random RNG rewards at all. I think that is a change that they should be working on, because it did feel extremely unfair. So we're missing the adjustment. They could turn those chests into some sort of selectors, for instance, where we can pick more like equally tuned rewards, I would say, or something like that. So yeah, I don't like the not changing of the Assault pool. I don't like not changing of the random RNG rewards. And there was one more thing that I wasn't too keen on. But, we'll be going back in again. We'll be giving it the best shot that we have. The fights, seem to be more doable themselves. The 12% damage cap is an improvement. The fact that you can do it in like 2 longer sittings now is definitely better as well. So here we go. Let me know what you guys think. What is your opinion here, guys? And nothing in regards to box. Huge W, 11 out of 10. I would call it as an 8 out of 10, but you know, we'll see again if it is enough. And he talks about letting dot scale. Yeah, exactly. That dot thing is definitely a major thing. Awesome first step. Yep, as far as first step goes, that's definitely a good thing. Okay. Any chance to get 180 tokens back? Right. So yeah, that's pretty much it here. Let me know what you guys think. It should be better, for sure. But let's see if it's something that we can actually enjoy this time around. All right. See you in a bit. Bye-bye. Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about